by the man, the guru of Fox Sports Southwest. It's Ric Renner.
Pumping wattage into cottage homes and homes and megahertz up the skirts. Footloose and used to be fiance free. Wow, what are we giving away? What are we giving away here, huh? Oh, we got syrup. Let's give it away. Hop on the phone right now at 1-8. Oh, sorry.
God. So this brings up every time we talk, and God, we've known each other for 5 years now.
Yeah.
But every time we talk, you always have a new story from that I didn't know from your broadcasting past.
There's so many. I couldn't keep a job, honestly.
Because you were like a overnight radio guy. you were like they wanted to turn you into a weatherman at one point.
Oh yeah, I did weather and sports at the same station in Tyler, Texas.
God.
That station's no longer in existence, but I might have had something to do with that.
Yeah,
but I actually, a lot of people don't know this, and I'll give you a little secret. Don't tell anybody. But my real name is Ric Renner. And so I was the sports guy as Ric Renner, and our weather guy left for Austin, and our news director's like, hey, Eric, why don't you do the weather? And I'm like, I don't know anything about the weather. She's like, either do I. Just make it up. Who cares? They're never right. So I would take, and I'm in Tyler Longview.
Sure.
So I would take New Orleans' weather, Dallas' weather, Austin's weather, and just kind of average it all together, right?
That sounds about right.
And I would say, partly cloudy, chance of rain. Never really told you what the chance was, but there'd be tornadoes, trailers are flying into the air in Tyler, and not my forecast. But I actually would do sports for like 8 minutes, and then I would do weather for a minute. Right? Because I was just as quick as I could get through it. Of
course.
Sure.
So we used to do this thing where they'd have this cute little weather shot, a fountain, something like that, and you walk over. So that's how I would make my change. So what I would do is I would do the sportscast as Ric Renner in a conservative blue suit with a blue and yellow tie. And then I would take this shot. And then that's when I would change my jacket to a yellow jacket to match the blue and yellow tie.
Yeah.
And then I put on glasses with no lenses, but that would be for credibility. I learned that from Bob Costas at Syracuse. So anyway, I'd walk over, and one time they had these 2 cows in a field, and the cows are just going to the bathroom. And there's the, temperatures on it. I hear the guy in my ear, oh, this is going to be great. He's going to be on this for a minute. So I used to have fun trying to get out of it. So I walk over, and I'm like, well, apparently we're going to get dumped on tomorrow, so bring your umbrella.
Oh, my God.
Right? And I can't stop laughing. The news anchors are behind the cameras when I'm on the air. It was so rinky-dinky. Half the newsroom was in a shed, so when it actually rained, it would get really loud, so we'd have to be louder to overcome the rain. But, it was a fun time.
I've always the question I always get when people find out I work with you a little bit is they're like, is he like is that an act? Is that a bit, or is that how he has it? And I have to tell them, like, guys, this is like I feel like if I ever saw Rick and he was just like, oh yeah, hey man, how's it going? What are you doing?
Oh God, he died.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be very concerned for the well-being of everybody around you.
Yeah.
Like this is just you, and now you mentioned Bob Costas because you did go to Syracuse.
Yeah.
And we'll get to college picks in a
Yeah,
minute.
Dick Clark, Ted Koppel, Michael Tirico, Ric Renner, Vanessa Williams, all the greats.
All
the greats.
Because you were buddies with Tirico, right?
Yeah. We used to actually – the funny thing is to get cleared to do play-by-play on football, everybody wanted to do basketball. So the way it would
Syracuse,
start –
of course,
and what you do is you would sit in the stands with a recorder in the middle of the student section, and you'd be in the upper deck, and you can't see half the court, so you just would have to make it up. So Tirico and I would be in the upper deck, and you just do a play, and you'd wait for a cheer, and you'd be like, "Cycly the slam!" That one of those things. And you would get cleared on that tape, and then you would do lacrosse. And the two of us didn't know any of the rules of lacrosse. So anytime they had kind of a break in the action, he and I would look at each other, and he would go, "There's a break on the Syracuse University Lacrosse Network." We'd go to commercial, come back, and they'd start playing again because we didn't know anything about restraining box and all those rules and stuff. We called it like a hockey game, So eventually you do that, and then you do women's basketball, then football, and then get your way to basketball, which is what you wanted to do in the Big East at that time.
So you called Syracuse basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's for most people that would be a career high.
Yeah. And there was a lot of guys when I was there. Charlie Palillo, who is a big radio guy down in Houston. Tony Caridi, who is the voice of West Virginia. He was like one of the founding fathers. He was a senior when I was a freshman. I learned from him, so it's kind of funny to see him, as we cover the Big 12 and everything. But, we had kind of a good thing going there. A little bit better than that Missouri program or Northwestern.
See, and that's the thing is, you and I do come at it from probably, I would say, I think we can definitely agree. These are the two best journalism schools in the nation, for sure. It's just a matter of difference as far as 1 versus 2. We should be rivals, but Missouri has all the boring journalists. We've got Jim Lehrer from PBS NewsHour, right? Like, we've got all the behind-the-scenes people. Like, if you go into a newsroom and throw a rock, you will find all these people working at computers that went to Missouri. But if you see all the talent went to Syracuse.
Yeah.
And
it's like a mafia. It's all over the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that 4-letter network is pretty much run by Syracuse people.
Let's
be honest.
Yeah.
But that's just been the case. I mean, I was in Vanessa Williams' freshman English class. How cool is that?
Yeah.
She was older, missed it. We were in the class together. I was like, gosh, that girl's beautiful. Then the whole Miss America thing happens, and I'm like, I was sitting right next to her. I could have been dating her.
You could have,
but
man.
It didn't work out.
All right, and then I want to ask you: there is an internet, or there's a video that's going viral currently that I think it was Tanner, one of our production guys, who found it, of you in 1998.
Yeah, would have been before I came here
so
in Jacksonville. Desperate sportscaster. Nobody watched us.
Jacksonville. You guys were the 4th rated.
No, we were probably 6th.
6th. Okay,
but we had all the tools. We had a great station.
Yeah.
All Britain from Washington D.C. owned us. We were a startup, and so we had to do some things to try to get people to watch us.
And one of the things that you did, you had the clip that I've seen. You're wearing a yellow jacket, and it's not like a khaki jacket.
It's like a canary yellow.
This is a bright yellow stop traffic jacket. And I want to know about your closet's status right now. And because people
still have it.
You still have that jacket?
That's the important question.
If I could wear it, I would. You know how that all started? I was Craig Sager before Craig Sager. I'm telling you. And what it was is I'm 6'5", 6'9" with hair. So I got to buy clothes from big and tall shops,
sure.
Right? So back in the day when I first started, my first job in Lafayette, Louisiana, $12,000 a year, move yourself.
Oh.
I used to DJ 2 nights as a different guy, Joe Bahama, What Shakin' Mama, and I would do that and actually make more than I made in TV. But you can understand that I didn't have a lot of money to spend on clothes.
Correct.
So imagine going to a West Palm Beach store, a big and tall shop, and then going to the clearance rack. That's what you would get. Yellow, I was bananas about that one. I had a lime one, which was a lime in time.
Nice.
Red, pink with gray lapels. And I used to wear them, and people would go, oh, man, what the heck is that? And people would, I was like, well, at least, it's turning heads a little bit. And that's all I could afford. $55 for a jacket.
If you gained 1 or 2 viewers from that, then it's a success, right?
Exactly. And people were bananas about that yellow jacket. Bananas.
He's Ric Renner, Fox Sports Southwest, here to do college football picks. We look at the standings. Still in first place, Greg Howard of the New York Times, 5-0.
Wow.
5-0. Erin Hardigan went 4-1. So she went 4-1 with her picks.
And it was an easy week when she was in here, though.
The one pick she missed was Houston and Navy, because she picked Houston and Navy.
I took Navy in the paper in that one.
See,
I would have been, but my dad went to Navy, so he was a running back at the Naval Academy.
Jeff Pearlman, author, went 4-1. Quan Cosby, a couple weeks ago, was 3-2. We have him listed as an insurance agent. He was very mad. Not mad, but he was
commercial insurance.
He was like, it's really weird that everybody knows me either from being amazing at Mart, or maybe people know me from from Texas, obviously, or maybe they know me from my brief NFL career, or maybe they even know me from being drafted by the Angels. He's like, nobody knows Quan Cosby, the insurance agent, which we're just going to listen to.
I don't know if I trust him.
Sue Bird, basketball superstar, went 3-2. Bill Conley, an actual college football expert, went 3-2. Eric Adelson of Yahoo Sports went 3-2, and still bringing up the rear, Lana Berry, internet sorcerer, went 1-4. So 1-4, you have to beat.
I got to be better than that.
Got to be better than 1-4.
And of course, you give me a really difficult week this week.
We're going to start.
We're going
to start.
This might be a tough week.
This will not count. Keep that in mind when you're picking this game. This will not count toward your total.
Okay.
But your beloved Syracuse Orangemen
travel
to take on Clemson, the number 3 team, 2 team, 3 team, 2 team, number 2 team.
An ACC power.
An ACC power. A lot of orange in the stands for this one. Syracuse and Clemson, Rick.
You know what? Dino Babers from the Art Briles coaching tree. There's been a lot of talk about that. They had the big win over Virginia Tech, upset those guys. They played Louisville better than Florida State played Louisville. I love the Cuse. We're a basketball broadcasting school, let's be honest, and lacrosse. But Dino's turning things around. I'm so excited to have him. Hopefully we can keep him for a few years. I'm seeing better athletes there and all that good stuff. His offense is amazing. It's just like what we would expect, but the problem is it really exposes the defense, and I just don't know how you shut down Watson and Crew. Now, if you put points in there, I'd take the Cuse.
Okay.
But I think Clemson will win, but I think it'll be closer than you think.
Let me look at that. What's the Clemson Syracuse
20
line?
or something.
It's got to be a lot. It's got to be, right?
It's got to be a lot. But, I'm excited.
28. 28-point dogs.
As much as I want to take them.
Yeah.
And it would be awesome. See, this is kind of a win-win situation. Syracuse wins. There's no excuse about me picking Clemson because everybody else would pick them.
Now we'll move into the
here all night.
games that actually games that actually matter. Louisiana Tech will travel to Denton to Apogee Stadium. This is 4 o'clock game. 4 o'clock, I think.
4:30.
4:30. The odd 4:30 kick in Denton. What do you
A lot
take?
of weird kickoffs.
You take Louisiana Tech in North Texas.
Have to take Louisiana Tech. That's another big point spread. But I got to tell you, the Mean Green are getting meaner by the game. A lot like SMU, getting stronger, and all those great Texas athletes that they have on that team. I think they're building something. They're going in the right direction, and that's a big thing because it hasn't been the case in the last decade or so. It seems like they kind of get going, and then they stub their foot. They get rid of their coach. But I think this thing's going in a good direction. And just looking at what they're doing recruiting-wise, they're doing better.
I agree with everything you just said. I think this is an example where North Texas is trending up, but Louisiana Tech is already up. So that's one thing. Speaking of SMU, they will host Memphis on Saturday afternoon on the Hilltop. The Tigers come to town, Memphis and SMU.
I think the fans have a reason to actually go inside the stadium and go to the game as opposed to walking around and shopping and tailgating and all that kind of stuff. SMU's been fun to watch. Chad Morrissey's a fantastic coach, and they're doing big things in recruiting. I like SMU.
Okay.
I like SMU in this one. I know I'm going out on a ledge here, but give me the ponies. And it's only because Dana Larson would be mad at me if I didn't take him. She's one of the most proud alumni.
Of course. Of course. What about it? This is 11 a.m. kick? Is that right? 11 a.m.
SEC country.
In SEC country in Starkville, Mississippi.
Stark Vegas.
The Texas A&M Aggies will travel to take on Mississippi State. Trap game, maybe? I mean, maybe looking ahead now they're number 4 in the college football playoff. A&M and Mississippi State.
That's kind of an outrage, isn't it? Them with the one loss. I hate the way that 4-letter network kind of rules the world, and the SEC is supposed to be better than everybody else. I know there's a lot of Aggies that are probably going, really, we're in the top 4 right now. If the season ended right now, we would actually be in the college football playoff, jumping an undefeated Washington. I'm pretty blown away about that. But, I thought they played Alabama pretty well in the first half. And, aside from some of the play calling, I think they could have even been better. Alabama's an absolute beast. That was difficult for them. Getting back to the college football playoff, you think about Oklahoma when the first one came out, they were ranked 15th, and they got in the top 4. So the first one never means anything. Ohio State was 16, and they ended up winning the national championship and got in the top 4. I know this is a roundabout way here. I like the Aggies. I think they're having a great year. I think Texas A&M's going to go there and win. And, I think they have a really good shot of being a one-loss team that's left out of their conference championship game, which will keep them out of the college football playoff. But I think they're going to be a one-loss team in the end because I think the SEC is not as good as everybody says.
I think you're right. I tend to think that in fact it's odd that what may end up hurting them is the fact that the SEC is not very good. It's not as good as it used to be in the past.
The East is horrible.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I know.
And I'm a South Florida guy, and I look at Florida, and everybody's all excited about them. I'm like, really? The East is horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
You're the shiniest turd.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. What about the South Plains of Lubbock? The Texas Tech Red Raiders will welcome in the Texas Longhorns. 2 teams, both trending up after big wins last week. What do we think about Texas at Tech?
The interesting thing is the loser, the head coach, is back on the hot seat, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that jumps out
they both got
at
a
me.
1-week reprieve.
Yeah, gosh.
I know.
And I like both coaches so well. I love Charlie Strong. I think he's done amazing things recruiting-wise. I just hope that the Longhorns faithful will give him a chance to see this whole thing out. But, man, if he stubs his foot in this one, this one's going to get all those boo birds back out on his shoulders. I just don't see how Tech can stop anyone, although they did kind of stop TCU last week, right? So it's really hard to go back and forth, and I just, I love Patrick Mahomes. I've been covering him since high school in his days at White House with Dylan Cantrell, and that's been an interesting little combination. And they're running the ball a little bit better, which is a good thing, but I just think Texas has too many athletes.
Right.
I think the Longhorns win that one.
All right. And finally.
Sorry, Lubbock.
Finally, another big rivalry game. This one at Baylor's McLean Stadium. Baylor welcomes in TCU. On the opposite side of that, two teams that are reeling from losses to the teams from the previous week.
Yeah, and I just can't figure out TCU. Can you guys?
No.
I am stunned that their defense hasn't been better this year. Although we did see a little bit better stuff from them this past week. But, man, I'm just blown away that a Gary Patterson coach team can't stop people a little bit more. Baylor, more sexual assault allegations coming out. I mean, it's just
you wonder where their head's at.
Yeah, you really run. I think the biggest challenge for them is just to kind of overcome all that. And then they lose to Texas again. I think Baylor's the better team. They got the better athletes. We're hearing all kinds of stuff. They're not going to be able to wear black because that was an Art Briles thing. We're hearing all this crazy stuff. But I think Baylor will win, and I think they'll win pretty convincingly in this one.
So the picks for Ric Renner: Clemson over Syracuse, Louisiana Tech over North Texas, SMU over Memphis, Texas A&M over Mississippi State, Texas over Texas Tech, and Baylor over TCU. He is Ric Renner at Ric Renner of FSSW on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
got a good memory.
I'm trying,
he
man.
remembers everything.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
amazed
It's
when we
dangerous.
do Fox Football Friday, and he'll just be spitting out stuff like Craig Way about six-man
It's a-
football, and I'm like, really?
Like Craig Way.
How do you know?
Like Craig
I know.
Way,
Nobody
but
can be
not
like Craig.
not exactly like Craig
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
Watch him on Fox Sports Southwest. He's on there constantly. They're working him to death. Rico, appreciate it, buddy.
Always a pleasure. I want to give a big shout-out to our friend Erin Hardigan. I know she's watching, and she's a big fan, and I just hope she's off some caffeine today. I think that would really help her out a little bit.